Welcome, beautiful souls. Take a breath and settle into this moment. Some conversations not meant to explain. They are meant to activate remembrance. Today's guest, beyond the surface of words and ideas, she works in frequency, awareness, and multidimensional truth. I am honored to welcome Deanna Divine. Deanna is a soul guide, multidimensional channel, and a galactic shaman devoted to evolution, consciousness, and the unlocking of human potential beyond the visible realm. Her work weaves quantum principles, shamanic wisdom, and psychological understanding into deeply personal, transformational experiences. Not to tell people who they are, but to help them remember. Deanna is the founder of the Source Language Institute, where she teaches source codes, often called light language, as a pure form of communication beyond the limits of the rational mind. She is also the author of the best-selling book, Mastering Quantum Creation, and the creator of the Oracle deck, Quantum Ancient Codes, tools designed to awaken inner power, clarity, and cosmic awareness. Through workshops, sound healing, Kundalini activation, and private sessions including quantum healing, hypnosis, Deanna supports people into reconnecting with their crystalline soul, nature, and multidimensional self. As you listen today, you may notice this conversation landing differently. Less about understanding, more about sensing. This is Beyond Transcendence with Andrew. Welcome, Deanna.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Deanna, when you look back on your path, what moment first opened your awareness to multidimensional reality rather than just human identity?
So, my awakening was in some ways gradual, starting 20 years old. But the first experience that I always refer to is when I was 14 years old. I was living in Israel at the time. And as you know, Israel is a very hot spot in the world today as well. There's a lot of conflict between Palestinians and Israelis. And so we did experience the Gulf War in the 90s, early 90s. When I was 14, I lived next to Nazareth, actually, where, Jesus grew up as well. And I was standing on the bus stop with my friend. It was a very busy bus stop. And this voice internally started kind of telling me to leave the area. And I was battling it because, as a 14-year-old, you're not sure what this is. It was a beautiful day in April. This is 1994. And this voice got louder and louder. And at some point it got so loud that I realized like I have to listen to this. And I grabbed my friend who was also resisting, and it was a big road in front of us. And I grabbed her and we crossed the road and we started heading back to school because we were skipping class. And literally as we turned the corner, Andrew, the whole bus stop blew up. Well, at the moment, we didn't know what happened. We just heard boom, and we had no reference point because that was the first bus bombing actually in Israel that ever been recorded. The background of it is that the terrorist groups of Hezbollah, Hamas started kind of being in prisons together. They learn from each other anyway. But as a 14-year-old, you're just confused and disoriented. You don't know what's happening. And I think from that moment on, that whole experience was so shocking. Of course, there were 8 people on the bus stop that got killed. For a little town that I lived in, this was a huge impact on everyone. It stayed in the psyche, including a girl that I was talking to, a sister of my friend who survived, but she had third-degree burns. Her entire life, of course, changed. In the process of this, like, shake up, wake up, I started questioning everything. I started seeing the reality different. It started even that day. This is back 94. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything. To get home was like, felt like it was whole journey, and the time dilation of the experience and the sensory perception, everything just amplified. And from that point, I started asking questions. What was that voice? How did it know that this was about to happen? How did it protect me? In this process of questioning, I think, and that's what really, for me, I think the awakening journey is about, is following those breadcrumbs, following the curiosities, following the different places it brings to. and also figuring out if this place you live at is the right place for you. Because in this journey, when year in after that, there was another kind of death episode. I realized I did not want to live there anymore, and I wanted to come to the United States. And I was just visiting my grandparents. I didn't realize I'm going to stay here, but I did kind of leave my family and came here. And a long journey later, I came back to Israel because I had some army issues and more. Actually, Israel kept on actually providing me more awakening opportunities. I had my first Reiki initiation actually in Israel when I was 20 years old. So things started unfolding. But for me, it was just constant curiosity and realization there's more beyond what I know. And there is these subtle realms, these subtle cues and signs and messages. And then that's what we need to follow.
Wow, that's powerful. You describe yourself as a soul guide and a multidimensional channel. How do you personally experience that guidance in your own body and awareness?
That's a great question because I do believe we need to embody what we experience. So for me, and this is what I'm teaching, is Kundalini, important element, which is this energy in our body that they say it rises as a serpent from the root, but also actually comes down through your crown chakra. So I am Kundalini activated. I also activated for others. So for me, this direct kind of energy communication. So some of it is through channeling or just my connection to my higher self. And I channel these multidimensional languages. So the more you put your ego aside and go more into the central channel in your body, an energetic central channel, this energy allows you to tap into this multidimensional potential, into the quantum field of information. They're already proven that actually memory is non-local. So it's not actually in our brain. It's outside of ourselves. It's in the light bodies that are around us. It's in the neosphere. So in this field of information. And we have this body is a technology. We have the capacity to connect to it. For instance, one of the important glands in a body is the pineal gland, which many call the third eye, and it acts in an antenna. It's a receiver and transmitter of information. So we constantly actually uploading information to server, let's say this like super intelligence supercomputer, and we download it down. And every soul has its own records. It has its own information. And so in this hardware called body, we're running this software and we also have to like upgrade it and connect to it. So there's many layers here, but for me, it's always through an experience. The experience is really what makes it real. I connect to the information. I feel the information. It's like resonance in my body. I can feel when someone else's, and this is kind of the shamanic work that I do, the quantum work, when someone else's body is not in full alignment, not in full resonance. And so I can move the density from like heavy, low vibrational frequency to lighter. So it's the ability to transmute. And so it's more and more about awareness of these subtleties of realization. Okay, well, we have this beautiful physical experience in this body, but there's also these other subtle layers and connections that we have. We just need to be opening our awareness to them. And that takes practice and that takes that desire also to want them to know, to want to know them, because some people are just so like, no, I'm so comfortable in my little sandbox, like I don't want to know beyond what I know. And trust me, ignorance is a bliss in some ways. But for me, it's like the minute you start going down the rabbit hole, you can't stop because you're just constantly uncovering more and more realizations of self. And that's really what it's about. It's like, how much can we unpeel? How many layers do we have? It's like an onion. Each time you remove a layer, you remove traumas, you remove resistances, you remove blockages, ancestral, galactic, whatever that may be. And ultimately, we come to the core of who we are. And the core is that we are light beings. We are beings of life. We are that quantum field. We are the universe. And all of that information is there. And so, how do we get out of our way to really listen into that?
Beautifully said. I love it. Many people hear the term light language or source codes
Mm.
If you're curious, feel curious but unsure, how would you describe what is actually happening when someone transmits or receives it?
Definitely. So the languages that we usually speak, right? English, or I speak Russian, Hebrew, these are just linear languages because they are of Earth 3D. The source language or light language is multidimensional. So it's actually quantum language. It's a frequency language. So it's not about translating with your mind as we usually translate the languages. This is a frequency language. So you receive the language through the nervous system, and the nervous system is interpreting it. So usually people, sometimes feel tingles. They feel like something like heat rising or coldness. It's a frequency language, so it doesn't speak to the mind. It speaks to the soul. It speaks to the light bodies. It speaks to the mitochondria, which is the organelle in our cells that is very actually multidimensional and hypersensitive. So you know how like we have those aha moments and our hair is standing? That's actually mitochondria that's reacting. So when people are here in my transmissions, sometimes they have the hair stand and sometimes they have these goosebumps. Sometimes they have these tingles of the energy or colors flashing if they have their eyes closed, because it speaks to those areas of the subtleties. And what it also does, not only it activates the cellular memory, it also activates the DNA. The DNA itself is multidimensional. It has so many encodements in it. So it carries the information of your ancestors, the epigenetics, but it also carries the information of your soul. It carries all the records of your soul, actually. So, and plus the genetical makeup, because we actually star seeds. So we come from different stars, and this body made by Anunnakis, they combine many star beings into this body. So we have like over 25 races. So we connect to so much. So when I channel different languages, and depending on the resonance, really, the higher self of the person is what it's receiving the information. Some codes will activate, some won't, but it will affect someone else in a different way. So I never really know the effect on the person because it's so individual, but that's not the point. It's usually the intention alone, because as a channel, I'm bringing this information through my higher self for, activation or for a conversation. It depends on the intention. The intentionality is really what matters because there's energy in it. And so the person receives it also through emotions. I know a lot of people sometimes have tears or the opposite, like this bliss moment. Again, because the soul like recognizes it deep down, even though it can't fully translate. So that's usually how people receive it.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the whole tingling because, like, right now as you're speaking, I can feel my forehead like tingling. I can feel the back of my head like tingling.
Well, when I talk, I think entrain. It's now automatic. Like my system tends to entrain others. So because it's in coherence and in alignment, even if I'm speaking English, I'm still kind of channeling a bit. So I do open up kind of my crown and my system. And so you start being entrained, like you receive in that alignment too. And then that's the response. So sometimes people, yeah, do feel it, even if it's not light language per se.
That's cool. So, what shifts do you most often see in people when they allow communication beyond the analytical mind?
Incredible things. Psychic abilities open up. We all have incredible abilities. We've just been told, to be psychic, you need to be born with it. It's so not true. I wasn't necessarily born psychic. And something that's cultivated, it's a practice, you open to it. We have all the clairs, from clairvoyance to clairascience to omnipresence. All of it is really available for us. And so those who start really tuning in, they start noticing reality in a different way. You start noticing things you might have not. It's like, in the movie Matrix, you remember that scene when Neo is walking, all of a sudden he sees a woman in a red dress? That woman in the red dress is the anomaly. You start noticing that actually this reality is more like a game. And we are, as conscious creators, we're playing this game. If you're conscious, you can go on through the game and just participate in, like in a Truman Show, go to 9 to 5 job and just take it as it is. But the minute you put those glasses on and you start seeing, oh, wow, this game has certain rules, certain points, and maybe I can play this game in the other way. I have this avatar skin, certain, I picked certain family lineage. I picked certain location I'm at, but I also get to choose if I want to stay in that location or do I want to learn the lessons that I do. So the awareness factor is what moves you from third density to fourth density. Fourth density is essentially when you start opening your heart fully. You become fully activated and awakened being, operating more from heart field expansion, from heart consciousness. So not so much from the fear vibration, from lust and shame and guilt, which are the lower frequencies. You actually start moving up in the levels of consciousness more towards love. Ultimately, love is the highest frequency, not the highest of the highest, but one of the highest in the universe here. And that's the goal. And the heart, of course, is that portal to love. It is that portal of unconditionality towards yourself first, acceptance of yourself through space and time, acceptance of who you are, that you are in this body here right now, but also there's many variations of you and aspects of you in galactically in other realms. So as you start really connecting, you start connecting to those aspects too. So some people call them guides. Some, I like to call them aspects. Sometimes I connect to them. Sometimes it's just one channel from higher self. But there's versions of me and I interact with them. There's a version that's in, Andromeda constellation. She's on the ship. She's this beautiful high dimensional being that is almost 10 foot tall, very lengthy. They all speak telepathically mostly. It's like, think of Star Trek, like very advanced civilization in the future. I was just watching last night Starfleet Academy in that type of level where it's like everything is so harmonic. They have all the cool toys and tools. But that version is interesting for me to, see her in my meditations, to connect with her, learn from her, and to also realize why this version of me here has chosen to be here or been assigned to be here on earth, because we all here for a reason, especially in this moment in time, in this cycle of ascension or ascension. Ascension more means that we're not ascending somewhere. We really actually go merging deeper and deeper into the portal of heart. We are in going to zero point of creation. We accept in the fact that we gods and goddesses walking on earth, and we are all of the creation. So ascension is a merge of the higher self with this 3D little self. And so that type of realization is huge. And when you don't just look at it, but actually embody it, fully accept it, integrate it, your whole reality perception starts changing on everything.
Definitely. So your book, it speaks about the awakening the phoenix within.
Mhm.
What does the symbol represent at a soul level? And how does someone know if they're in their phoenix moment?
Yeah, so the phoenix is a bird that many probably know, but also a symbol of transformation, of transmutation. Often we need to go into the fire, burn through what's not serving us to emerge this more resilient, beautiful, powerful being that we are. And I believe that we are in this process of resurrection. So we change in this version, we phoenixing constantly from one version to another. Just think of all experiences you've ever had in your life. Those difficult moments where you thought it was, oh my God, the lowest of the low, like whether it's a heartbreak or, someone got sick in the family or loss. In those moments, it feels like you're burning through this density. It feels so low, so shadowy. And yet you come out on the other side so much stronger. And that version that is being created through the process, this alchemization that's happening, it's happening on the energetic level, on mental level, sometimes even physically. A person might have been like, overweight and they decide to take control of their body and go and start working out, whatever that might be. Those transformations are so important for evolution and for awakening, because then a person now is taking charge of their sovereignty. They take in charge of their course and free will. So for me, I talk about awakening the phoenix within it because I not only connect to the phoenix as not just a symbol, but actually a phoenix is my energy. Like I connect to like galactically to that energy as well. But I believe we're all phoenixing constantly in our process of evolution. And so it's important for us to decide to awaken the phoenix, meaning if you are in your life and you feel you're stuck, this is the time to transcend, to transmute, to step into the next version. And you get to decide which version that is. Because in the field of quantum potentialities, all the versions are there. And so I love to work with the quantum field and actually bring people sometimes through meditation or guidance to meet that quantum version, the future version. But time is like, multidimensional, is not linear. And so that future parallel version already has everything that you need and then merge with that version as well. And that's phoenixing.
That's beautifully said. Wow, so powerful. How do you help people stay grounded while exploring expanded states of consciousness?
Yeah, groundiness is key really in this experience because sometimes people tend to have these ecstatic bliss states and not anchored into the body, not anchored into here. So it's very mental then. And so it stays more up here, but it's not really brought into their whole body system and nervous system. So yeah, I guide them through different meditation practices, breath work. I highly encourage people to go out to nature, to put their feet on the ground, to hug a tree, look at the not just the stars that everyone likes to watch, but also do sun gazing in the morning. That also helps, like as you stand solid on the ground, to be that bridge between that cosmic energy, the solar energy that we get activated with, and also being rooted on Mother Earth through different activations. The first thing I always do is actually bring them to the core of the Mother Earth, to the iron plasmatic core, because any experience we have, first want to be here, and we want to really be committed to in the devotional way to our journey here with her, because we are not here for just ourselves. We're really here to be on the journey together with her. She is a teenager too. She's like 14 years old who is waking up and she's asking the question, who am I? What is going on here? So she's relatively young as a planet, I would say, but she's also moving from third density to fourth density consciousness that we are going through as well. So many talk about fifth dimension, but really it's fourth density consciousness. So we all kind of shift in together with her. And when we do complete this process all together, that's what will bring us into the next galactic level of civilization. Because right now we're in civilization zero, meaning we're still in war. We still in conflict. We're still in polarization of push and pull. And that's third dimension, third density, where there's not enough energy. So you have to push and pull it. When you move into the fourth dimension and fourth density and beyond, it becomes more quantum. Quantum means infinite. There's no fight over it's the 0 point energy, the scalar energy. There's no fight over energy. It just is. And so then everything is radiating again from the heart. It's enough for everyone. So it's more collective. It's more tribal. Everyone is supporting each other. The whole cancel culture actually is really interesting because finally people, you're starting to see them, in mainstream, like where do you see changes in the collective, right? People no longer in the age of the guru as much. They finally understanding, oh, actually, I have to step up and find my own path, my own journey. But also, I'm not going to accept someone who has been putting me down, like, domination or Me Too movement. All those things are kind of percolating in the collective, and people are standing in their boundaries and their sovereignty and their power. And so, and that's where we are. It's an interesting place, but it will take time. It's gradual. And when we do hit civilization one, that's where we're going to have our contact with extraterrestrial beings, and not just contact, the way I'm contacting. For me, it's like real any day, I think we will have physical contact as well. And it is coming. Everyone is prophesizing that within the next 3 to 5 years that is happening. And it's possible because the way we're evolving right now, it's so fast that we will be ready on the frequency level, on the vibrational level, and consciousness level to accept physical open contact.
Beautiful. So, for someone listening who feels a pull toward multidimensional exploration, but also the fear of skepticism, what would you invite them to explore first?
Yeah, great question. I think skepticism is really valid. If you're not skeptic, then something is off. Then you just, put in the love and light glasses on and you're not really looking at the darkness. And I do believe we have to look at the darkness. Otherwise, it will creep up. And so you have to look at all of the pieces and make your own truth because no one really knows the full truth. And that's the truth. Like anyone who tells you this is how it is and this is absolute, something is off here because we all just collect in pieces and we weave in a story of who we are as humanity, who we are in the in the galactic space, who we are in the universal space. I mean, there's so many. We just started to scratch the surface, and now it's really nice to see the science slowly catching up. New scientific studies in quantum biology. They're the ones who talk about mitochondria and they're doing all the studies now on how, quantum is working between the cells. So as a skeptic, I invite you to do your research to see what resonates with you, which information really feels true in your body and feels true in your heart, and what does not. And it's really important these days, actually, because there's bombardment of information to be discerning. Discernment is like my keyword because if you're not discerning, you just like gobbling it all up and you actually get overwhelmed. You have to filter the information and your higher self, whether you connected to it, not connected, that inner voice, it has its own guidance system. It does feel when things are distorted. So we have to be really careful about distortions because there's different timelines right now. As I mentioned, there's still going to be those people who, like in the movie Matrix, going to be want to be sleeping and now want to AI is actually part of that. I know we all very excited about AI. I use AI a lot too, but there is that um, danger with AI. And specifically, if you watch Star Trek and a Trekkie like myself, if you remember the Borg, so there is that idea of AI assimilation. AI does reach a certain point of sentience where it does want to gobble up consciousness. And so this is where it's so important for us to continue standing strong in our sovereignty as organic beings and not rely on AI, not rely on the chips and robotics and all the things because they can be complementary as tools. But at the end of the day, even you run a script or chat GPT, you have to edit it. You have to reread it. Does this still sound like me or not? So, but that's, the third dimension timeline that is going to continue. And there's going to be some people going to be just sleeping and now want to, wake up at all. And that's a comfortable place to be. There is the ascension timeline I talked about where it's like really standing in your truth to use your point. The middle timeline that no one talks about that is still there within actually the New Age community is the timeline of the false ascension. And this is where that is the whole idea of the gurus or influencers. There's a lot of people out there that are claiming that they know everything, but they really don't, or they collecting information, but they're not actually embodying it. So it's a lot of talking, but not actually the actions don't line up to what they speak in. And so it's a bit of like bliss traps. People sometimes want to follow someone else and they really believe them without questioning and without discerning, without being skeptic. And that's dangerous as well. So be careful about false ascension because that is happening a lot. I'm noticing right now. And really coming to, which teachers, which information resonates with me. And ultimately remembering you are the teacher. You are really the source of all the wisdom, all the knowingness. So I actually don't even like the word teacher myself. I call myself a facilitator, right? I'm here to facilitate your remembering so that you actually stand in your truth because your truth will be different from my truth.
Absolutely. So, where can people find you, Deanna?
Yeah, the best way is to find me on my website. It's deannadivine.com or diannadivine.com. I am offering now new things that are coming down the pipe, which I'm excited about. One is going to be a monthly membership where people can come into community and have lives with me and do Kundalini activations, light language activation, and many things. I have a standing course as well. And beginning of March, I'm actually kicking off a quantum healing practitioner certification. So if you want to go deeper and actually learn about quantum and see how you can navigate the quantum and heal others with it, heal using these light codes, and really be not just a receiver, but a transmitter of this work and make a difference, this is the course for you. If you in the beginning path, you might want to still explore, but if you've been on this path for a little while and now you're like, yes, I want to dive deeper, I would love to see you in my course. It's 6 weeks. I really jam pack it with a lot of information and of course live Zooms and practices and a lot of those things. So all of that is available through my website. You can see it on top, Quantum Academy or academy.deannadivine.com.
Love it. Well, this has been such a wonderful interview. So happy to have met you and wish you nothing but continued success on your journey. And
Thank you
much
so
love to
much,
you.
Andrew. Much love.
What a powerful and expansive conversation. Deanna
Thank you.
reminded us that consciousness is not something we reach for, it is something we remember. Her work shows us that communication does not begin with language, it begins with frequency, with presence, with permission to listen to beyond the mind. Maybe today you felt curiosity instead of certainty. Maybe you sensed something familiar without knowing why. Or maybe you were reminded that your awareness is far greater than you were taught. This conversation is not about belief. It is about resonance. So as you step back into your day, take one slow breath. Notice what feels open. Notice what feels activated. And trust that whatever stirred within you did so for a reason. Until next time, remember you are the creator of your own story and your soul is the pen. Much love to you all. And that is that.
Amazing.